So it is a beautiful exploration to, I love that metaphor, having a mind like the sky, having an open mind, a mind that's spacious, a mind that's at peace, a mind that is able to rest. Has everyone been resting deeply in the mind? Every minute of every day. You probably noticed that your happiness depends on your state of mind. Has anybody noticed that? And that Amma, my spiritual teacher, would always say that we can create heaven with our mind, or we can create hell, right? We do it in our mind. And so we have to control the mind, we have to refine it and purify it. And it's kind of the same way that we train for a marathon, right? You train for a marathon, you train your body for a marathon. In the same way, you can train your mind for peace. I was actually looking at Facebook yesterday, and I saw this comic that I thought was so appropriate. And it's these two comic figures there, and the one is looking extremely blissful, and he's holding this jar, and on the front of the jar it says, happiness. And he's filled, obviously, with happiness. And the man standing beside him is looking incredibly stressed out, and his eyes are really bugged out and big. And he's looking at this man holding this jar, and he says, how did you find that? I've been looking for that all my life. And the man holding the jar said, I created it myself. I created it myself. I created this happiness myself. I love that. I love that. The Buddha said, develop a mind that is vast like space, where experiences both pleasant and unpleasant can appear and disappear without conflict, struggle, or harm. Rest in a mind like vast sky. A mind like vast sky. So he's advising that we become masters in our capacity to have a peaceful state of mind, so we're able to be happy regardless of people and circumstances. You know, we see people who have nothing or next to nothing, and they're happy. They're happy even so because of their mindset. I always find that when I go to India, my trips to India, so many people have like nothing, and they're happy and they're shining, and they'll give you their last piece of bread, right? And conversely, we see people who sometimes they seem to have everything, but they're unhappy because of their mindset, right? And so we realize that it's dependent on our inner state. It's dependent on our inner state much more than our outer state. So using the metaphor of the sky, when we rest in our mind, when we rest our mind into the sense of open sky, awareness, when a thought arises, it's like a cloud appearing in the sky, right? And instead of forgetting the sky and becoming that cloud, becoming completely identified with that cloud, especially if it's a storm cloud, and identified with that agitated energy, we can just watch the clouds of the mind like we watch a storm, right? I took a long walk this week. I think it was Monday. I took a long walk from where I live now at the very top of Granite all the way down to Greenleaf to have lunch. I didn't even plan on it. I was just out for a walk and decided to go to Greenleaf and have lunch. And I'm sitting outside, and they have the umbrellas arranged all in this wonderful way. So I'm sitting under all these umbrellas, and they had just served my food, and it just started to pour. I mean, hail and pouring rain, and amazingly, I stayed dry, and my food stayed dry. Like they had those umbrellas figured out. There was one other person, and we were just looking at each other, and at first, you know, I felt the cloud of anxiety arise, like I don't want to walk home and get soaking wet. It's a long walk home. And then I just let that go, you know, because why? Why resist it? That adds more suffering, right? So I just surrendered to the weather, and I just enjoyed breathing in that smell. I love that smell of rain. I love that. I love the wildness of being out in a storm, you know, especially when I'm dry. And so right as I was paying my check and leaving, the rain stopped. So I got to go home and not be soaking wet. So there's a Tibetan meditation instruction that says, body like a mountain, breath like the wind, mind like the sky. So when you think about that, a body like a mountain, it's stable, right? It's grounded, right? It's strong. You're strong in your body. Breath like the wind is breathing deeply and using the breath to clear energy, the way the wind clears energy. The wind cleans and clears energy. And mind like the sky, that's a mind free from being stuck in a particular limited view or idea of how we'll only be happy if certain things are just so, right? If the outer world is just so, or if our personal life is just so. It's really having an unattached mind, right? A mind of non-resistance to the present moment. And we can notice when our mood is stormy and let it storm, but we stay aware. We know that storms pass. This too shall pass. That is such great wisdom. This too shall pass. And the sky of our mind can notice the storms and grow in our ability to keep spacious awareness in us, right? And to mix in that awareness with the storminess, right? That peace can calm the storm. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? You know what I'm talking about? So we mix that awareness, that sky-like awareness, in with our thoughts and our moods, so we're not so completely lost in them, or so we can recover from them sooner. A couple days ago, I felt off, just kind of off, and I took a walking meditation, as I do every day in the park. And as I was coming home, I just went, you know, some days you just have, it's a low serotonin day, right? Or it's a low dopamine day, or you just didn't get enough rest, or your body hurts, right? There's just something, and we can just allow for that, and we can just be completely in non-resistance, you know, and just know it's okay to have a day exactly this way, right? That's a way that we bring awareness to the cloudiness, right? We allow the awareness allows the human that we are, right? So the Buddhists call the vast open nature of the sky Buddha nature. Well, they call it our innate goodness. And they describe innate goodness. I love that, because that's so much better than original sin, isn't it? Innate goodness, that's our true nature, okay? Not original sin. Let's make that clear right now. Well, they describe innate goodness as free, wide open, unconstructed, and egoless, and that this innate goodness is pure awareness and pure love. And you know, when we really see each other, we bow to each other, we say namaste, that's what we're acknowledging, the innate goodness of you. And you're seeing the innate goodness in me. And we need to see that in each other. We need to encourage that in each other often, right? I was reminded of the last time I saw Michael Singer. He was my first spiritual teacher. Some of you know that because I talk about him a lot. But I met him when I was 15. But the last time I saw him, I think was about 12 years ago or so. I was in Florida. He has a Temple of the Universe there. And I went to the temple, and he gave a talk, wonderful Dharma talk, and he led a chant. And the chant was, who lights the stars? Who shines the sun? You've heard me do that a lot, one of my albums. Well, I fell in love with that song that night, and I did later record it. But it was amazing because after we left the temple, we walked outside, and Mickey, I call Michael Mickey, he invited me to come out into the big field where we normally on Sundays go out and hold hands and sing a closing song after church or after service. Because he had just bought these binoculars, like the best, most high-tech, like telescopes for your eyes, right? So, and it was a dark night, so we walk out in the middle of the field, and he gives me these binoculars, and he has me look up, and he shows me a nebula. So I'm looking at this nebula, and my mind was already pretty sky-like. And then he shows me the Pleiades. And, you know, I could really see them well. You know, I haven't spent a lot of time with telescopes, but it was amazing. Then he showed me the Andromeda galaxy. This whole other galaxy, it's so beautiful if you've seen pictures of the Andromeda galaxy. So, needless to say, my mind was as wide as the sky. My mind was so expansive. It was a moment I will not forget. And it's funny because his book wasn't out yet, The Untethered Soul, and I think it came out the next year, and I got it. And he has all these pictures of nebula, the Andromeda Galaxy. He's got all these pictures in his book. You know, he loves the night sky. And I found this quote. It kind of explains why he took me out there and gave me that beautiful experience. He wrote in his book, "When you're caught up in unhappiness, you need to get some perspective. Walk outside on a clear night and just look up into the sky. You're sitting on a planet spinning around in the middle of absolutely nowhere. You're just standing on one little ball of dirt, spinning around one of the stars. From that perspective, do you really care what people think? Or what that person did, right? Don't let meaningless things cause you pain." Oh. And of course, he's not saying don't care about the world, right? He's saying keep your mind open and wide and stay attuned to the much, much bigger picture. He would often talk about watching the content of your mind like listening to an inner roommate. Have you noticed you have an inner roommate, anybody? It's the voice in your head that won't let you sleep or always has to comment, right, about everything, always has a comment. It's funny because this quote, he says, "There's nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of your mind. You are the one who hears it. You're the one who hears it, the observer, the witness, right? The spacious awareness." So I love seeing the new images from the James Webb telescope. It's 100 times more powerful than the Hubble, which was already really impressive. And there's one of the most fascinating images is called Stephan's Quartet. Has anybody seen that? It's 5 galaxies. It's a picture of 5 galaxies all together, all clustered together. I mean, that is vastness times a trillion. But to just let your mind go out and consider that our Milky Way galaxy has approximately 100,000 million stars. And just our one star, right, our one precious sun, right, our one precious star has 9 planets. 9 planets. So how many planets might be in that collection of 5 galaxies? Any mathematicians here? It's a lot. And it's really, yeah, it's like, I don't know, what's that biggest number, quintuple trillion or something? I don't know. But it's so exciting to wonder how much life exists in the vastness of this cosmos. So if we want to feel high vibrations, well, we have to fill ourselves with awe and wonder. Awe and wonder. Awe and wonder are some of the highest vibrations. And it is so awesome to realize that we're part of something we call God, Goddess, Source, Mother, that is created around, they estimate, 2 trillion galaxies. 2 trillion galaxies, right? That picture of 5 is just a little grain of sand, right? On the beach. So the greatest wonder of all, though, is that we are God exploring creation from inside a human body and mind. We are God, Goddess exploring creation from inside a human body and mind. That is awesome. So don't you wonder why the mind has problems and why it says, yeah, but. I had a teacher once that wrote, yeah, but on the blackboard, drew a circle around it and a line through it. No yeah buts. The mind says, yeah, but there's so much to worry about, right? Why is that? It's because we are consciousness wearing this biological suit. And this biological suit has a built-in warning system. Mainly our amygdala, right? And that keeps us physically alive. so we can honor our human beingness too, right? Our human beingness. You know, it seems like the storms of the mind arise most when we're caught up in things that threaten our survival, right? Things that threaten our survival, that things we feel fear about or feel unsafe about, that the survival part of us, of our brain kicks in. So last week, I had an eventful week. All these stories about my week. I was writing my talk on the mind of the sky, and I was looking out at the blue sky at my desk, and I was feeling very blissful. And then the sky started to fill with smoke. And then all these fire trucks started roaring by the road right above my house. And then I got a call from my landlady. Oh, I just got a notice we need to get ready to evacuate. The controlled burn got out of control, and it is now a vegetation fire, and it was close. So she came home. I got my to-go bag out, and I was pulling out that stuff from last summer. I thought, these clothes need washing. You know, let's get some of your new clothes in here. And, you know, I was fairly calm. And my landlady came. We went on my back deck, and we're looking up at all that smoke billowing. And I told her, I said, you know, because I was in the Paradise Fire, I just have a little bit of PTSD. I feel mostly calm, but I just feel a little bit. And she goes, oh, sweetie. And she just grabbed me and held me, and then the tears flowed. And then it just shifted. I felt like I was able to let go of that and just be present and feel the awareness in me again. And so anyway, they got that fire out. We didn't have to evacuate, and I was super, super grateful for that. But, you know, it was really interesting for me to watch the awareness in me shift as the sky filled with smoke. And it was just so funny because I was writing about this analogy of the sky and the clouds and the storms and the smoke in the sky. And yeah, it was just, there's a part of me that's really actually curious about the creature I am, you know, and can watch that. And just really realize that it's okay that we have this survival mechanism. That's okay. That's kept us alive through a lot of evolution, right? And so we can keep that in mind when we're worried about our health or our country, you know. That's where our practice lies, right in the moment when we feel that fear, when we feel that worry, that is where our practice lies. So when our mind is stormy, we can attend to it like we attend to our body when it's not well. We start getting a sore throat, we get that ginger out and then honey, and we start really taking care of ourselves. Same thing with our mind. We need to take care and attend to our mind when it's dropping into survival. And not go completely unconscious, because when you go completely unconscious, you're completely identified with everything that's bad. Do you know that feeling? Anybody ever experienced that? We forget the entire rest of the sky, that we're only focused on the storm cloud. So we're all a work in progress. We'll lose touch many times, and that's okay, because the practice is how soon can we regain our center, return to balance, and bring in some blue sky, you know. We're part creature. Creature is wired to survive. So, but we're more than creature. We are God. We are God consciousness. You and I and the Father are one. You and I and the Mother are one. And the God in us is having a grand adventure. It has no problem. That God in us is all about discovery and experience. I remember one trip to India when I would stay at Amma's ashram. We would do, you know, I've shared with you a lot, we would do just hours and hours of spiritual practice. And every now and then I would have a break from the ashram and I'd walk to the Indian Ocean, which was about 7 minutes away. You could see it from the very top of the ashram. And I'd just sit on the beach and I would just close my eyes. And I was already really feeling so subtle from all that practice. And I would just sit there and at first I would feel like my mind is not just in this body. And so I would feel a sense of, you know, my mind is expanding beyond the body, and I would feel the ocean within my mind body. And I would feel the sky within my mind body, and then I would expand out and out and out, and I would feel that everything happening, like in the senses, like the sound of the ocean, was within me, and those waves lapping the shore were within me. And it's a way that I would just open to feeling omnipresence. You know, we hear the divine God described as omnipresence or omnipresent. What does that mean? What does that mean? Can you tell me? Everywhere all at once, everywhere present. Can you conceive of that? Can your mind stretch into that? Everywhere. There's no place that God is not. Can you stretch into that? That's so wide. And it does help to close your eyes because, you know, the senses will kind of keep you seeing, oh, that body looks separate from that chair. But when you close your eyes, you can open up and feel and experience that omnipresence. Hafiz describes this when he writes, pulling out the chair beneath your mind and watching you fall upon God. What else is there for Hafiz to do that is any fun in this world? He also writes, take one of my tears and stop weeping only for sadness, for there is so much more to this life than you now understand. So let yourself expand into a truly open mind to infinite possibility, to omnipresence. Let yourself be free of worry more often, and free of fear, and free of conflict, and at rest. Bless your body with a peaceful mind. That's another really great quote I saw this week. It said, your every cell receives every thought that you think. Your every cell is affected and receives every thought you think. So let your body be blessed with a peaceful mind. Bless your life. Bless your challenges. Bless your soul. Bless the divine in you and give thanks. May you, each one of you, and may all beings, may all our relations be happy, be at peace, be filled with joy, and filled with wonder, and filled with awe. For you truly are awesome. We are that awesomeness. Thank you. Namaste.